Hello and welcome to Tête-à-Tête, France 24's flagship interview show, a special edition today with two guests, Ehud Olmert, former Israeli Prime Minister, and Nasser al-Qudwa, former Palestinian Foreign Minister. Thank you, gentlemen, for being there. Against all odds, I should say, you're still advocating a two-state solution, but before we get to your plan, Mr. Olmert, I want to start with you. You initially supported Israel's war in Gaza. Now, you're accusing Israel of committing serious crimes, even potentially war crimes. What prompted you to change your mind? Was it the decision by Israel to launch military operations again in mid-March?
Well, as you said correctly, I supported Israel's right to counteroffensive after the 7th of October and the Israeli military attack, to reach out for all the killers and the murderers and the leaders of Hamas in Gaza. And I was part of a very large community of world leaders, starting with Joe Biden of America, President Macron of France, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, Chancellor Scholz, Prime Minister Meloni, and so many others that supported Israel's counterattack, which was inevitable and unavoidable. What the Hamas did was absolutely unforgettable and unforgivable. They massacred and killed and raped and beheaded thousands of Israeli citizens in their homes, in the living rooms, in the bedrooms. There was no way that they will not be reached out in order to eliminate them. And we did it. For 20 months, we were fighting, and there was an international consensus, in spite of the collateral damage, which was part of this, that it was acceptable and unavoidable. On the 18th of March, the Prime Minister of Israel decided to violate an understanding with the Hamas and with America and Egypt and Qatar to continue the deal for the exchange of hostages for additional ceasefire. And he decided on expanding the war. No one in Israel supports the expansion of this war. I'd say no one, but majority of the Israelis do not support it. They think that there is not any political or military objective which justifies the cost of lives of Israeli soldiers, the cost of lives, potentially cost of lives of the hostages, and the cost of lives of many non-involved Palestinians in Gaza. A war which has no legitimacy at this point, not in the past, at this point, which doesn't have any objective which can justify the cost, is in itself a crime, and that's what I'm against, because I don't think we should do it.
Mr. al-Qudwa, do you agree with this description? Some UN bodies and some heads of state, lately the president of Brazil, Lula, have said this is not only a crime, this is a genocide. I know Mr. Olmert doesn't agree with this. Is it your sense that what Israel is doing is a genocide?
Listen, I think it is, but you know, I have a political partner who is serious enough, and we are engaged with a broader goals, and I think we need to focus on this. We need to focus on this rather than to agree or disagree on descriptions and on some kind of legal definitions. I mean, this is something that needs to be done, but not by us, maybe by others, because it's important for the international community and it's important for the regions, and there should be always accountability and there shouldn't be any escape of justice.
Mr. Olmert, what is the end goal for this government? Is it to resettle Gaza? Is it to annex the West Bank? I mean, because, you know, the offensive is for full reoccupation of Gaza. We see also what's happening in the West Bank, which is of serious concern. Do you think that's the end goal?
Well, I'm sure that you don't really expect me to become the spokesperson for the Israeli government trying to explain the...
But you're a seasoned politician.
Yeah, of course.
And you know Benjamin Netanyahu very well.
I know Netanyahu quite well. Yeah, he succeeded me in the position of prime minister. But I don't trust him, as most of the Israelis don't trust him on these days. He does have a majority in parliament because of elections which took place 3 years ago. But as of today, throughout this last period, on every single poll, more than 60% of the Israelis say that he prioritize the personal interest of himself, political interest of himself over the national interest of the state of Israel. So you now ask me what may be the objective of Netanyahu. Netanyahu seems not to want to end the war. He doesn't want to release all the hostages which are still abducted by the Hamas and whose life is in imminent danger, particularly as a result of the expansion of the Israeli military operation. And he seems to want to continue the war forever, because the longer he continues the war, the more far away he is from the 7th of October and from the appearance of a total failure of his policy, of his concept, of his approach, of his lack of desire to negotiate with the Palestinians, but rather to try and build up the Hamas. He was the one that facilitated the financial support coming from Qatar to Hamas, which enabled Hamas to build all the tunnels and the city of war that was made in order to fight against Israel, when he was absolutely certain that he could buy Hamas with the money that he brought them from Qatar.
Mr. al-Qudwa, what is Israel's goal? From what you're hearing, from what you're seeing in Gaza, in the West Bank, you add this to the Trump plan to create a Riviera. I mean, do you think Israel wants to eliminate?
Listen. I mean, any talks about mass deportation should be condemned. And honestly, it's not on the table, because it's not implemented.
Some Israeli ministers have put it on the table.
Yeah, because they are crazy also. I mean, these are messianic guys who wants all of it, wants all the land. They want to get rid of Palestinians, and they want to annex the West Bank, and things like that. I mean, this is not going to happen. Let's be more serious. I prefer to talk about the goals of Netanyahu, not the goals of Israel. The goals of Netanyahu is the continuation of the war. First, to save his neck, to continue as a prime minister. And secondly, maybe in service of some Israeli ministers, if possible, to colonize parts of the Gaza Strip and to continue colonizing the West Bank. Annexation, of course. We are coming to annexation. I mean, these are guys that are nuts totally, and that's why they should be stopped. And it is the responsibility of the international community. I mean, they can't, governments around the world cannot just wash their hands and say it's not our business. It is their business. What's happening now is destroying the international system that was painstakingly built after the Second World War. And that is the responsibility of everybody. And that is, again, why, it's the reasons why these guys have to be stopped by the international community.
What has happened is these guys, especially two ministers, Bezalel Smotrich and Itamar Ben-Gvir, have just been sanctioned by several Western countries, several traditional backers of Israel, including the United Kingdom, Canada, Norway, Australia. We're seeing Israel, in a way, become a pariah state. New York Times columnist Thomas Friedman just wondered whether Israel, instead of being a haven for Jews, was becoming dangerous for Jews around the world.
And if Tom Friedman reaches the point where he comes from, that Israel becomes a pariah, then no one can ignore what he says and say this is not important. This is exceptionally important. And I am afraid of this for quite a long time. But after 20 months, when the world leaders are asking the Israeli Prime Minister, what do you have in mind? What is the future view? What is the horizon that you offer? The answer comes from these messianic terrorist ministers in the Israeli cabinet, like Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, talking about wiping Gaza, killing people there. No one is there deserves to be alive, denying them the fundamental humanitarian needs. Then, countries that were very supportive of Israel, devoted to the state of Israel, devoted to the defense of the state of Israel, participating in defending the state of Israel throughout this war when the ballistic missiles from Iran were shot at us. The British, the French, of course, Americans, even Arab countries were defending the state of Israel. When they hear these statements made by Israeli cabinet ministers with the tacit or sometimes explicit support of the prime minister, then they say, okay, give us a break. Enough is enough.
Enough is enough. Can Donald Trump deliver peace in Gaza and maybe a political horizon for the Palestinians, or Do you think that the U.S. has also abandoned the two-state solution, as its ambassador to Israel just indicated?
This ambassador is another nut.
Mike Huckabee.
Mike Huckabee.
But he's the ambassador.
Yes, he is the ambassador. But we all know what's the meaning of these things, what's the meaning of these appointments. We'll see. Listen, the United States remains very important player in international politics.
Do you trust them?
No, it's not a matter of trust. I can't trust anybody that says sometimes things that are outrageous. But that does not mean that they are not important, does not mean that we should not take them into consideration. We should take them into consideration. And let's hope that they can contribute positively in ending the war first, as we hear is happening. Let's hope that this is true. And then to lead, or to push at least, if not to lead, to push for the overall political solution. By the way, I do believe in the necessity of having a bloc of countries pushing in the right direction, beginning with Arabs. The Arabs have to unify their position, which is not the case. Probably because of, or as a result of, the absence of Palestinian element. Maybe, but nevertheless, we need to find a way to unify the Arab positions around which we can bridge, or we can build some grouping, some collection of countries, including Europeans, for instance, to ensure that they will be the driving force. And then you can ask for the help of the Americans and others to push for a final settlement. So you need to arrange things in a certain way.
Just very quickly,
I want to take this one step forward.
Okay, go.
It comes in line with what Dr. al-Qudwa says. I want to appeal directly to this gentleman, President of the United States. You, Mr. President, started yesterday something which was very significant in the direction which is essential. You advised Netanyahu in a private telephone call, but then you leaked it, or your office leaked it to the international media, that you advised Netanyahu to restrain himself. I suggest, Mr. President, that you'll do what you can do, which will make a dramatic difference. Summon Netanyahu into the Oval Office. Put him in the seat that he loves most, facing the cameras of the American networks and the international network. And say to him in front of all the cameras, Bibi, enough is enough. It's all over with. Stop it. And you know what? There's only one person in the world that can do it. There is only one person that has the forthcoming attitude and the energy to do it. And the only one person in the world that Netanyahu is scared when he listens and talks to him like this, and this is President Trump. So it's about time that he will do it.
Just very quickly, you are still hoping for a two-state solution despite all what is happening in Gaza, in the West Bank.
Not only hoping. We believe that it's going to
seriously
happen. Because, of course, seriously. Because there is no other solution. There is no other future for anybody in the Middle East.
A one-state solution,
something.
maybe.
What is one-state solution?
One state is not a solution.
Yeah.
It's a prescription for disaster.
One state means the ultimate victory of one side over the other. It's not a solution. And actually, there is a contradiction in the name even. One-state solution doesn't work. One state victory, not one-state solution, because solution should mean compromise. So something like this cannot work.
In essence, this is what you negotiated with Mahmoud Abbas in 2008. You came very close. Is this still the blueprint?
This is
17 years late.
What I proposed in 2008 to the Palestinian president, who unfortunately declined to say, including a map describing broadly everything, which he failed to sign. This is the basis for the very courageous step forward that took Dr. Nasser al-Qudwa and myself to presenting to the international community. We presented it also to President Macron and to many leaders across Europe. This is the basis. There is no alternative to it. It will be the peace that will be signed one day between Israel and Palestine. And I believe that the days for it are sooner than most people anticipate at this point.
Listen, let's be clear. Either we want all of it, and we negate the existence of the other side, we want to annihilate the other side, or we need to coexist. And coexistence means two states. Simple.
Ehud Olmert, Nasser al-Qudwa, thank you very much for being our guests today on Tête à Tête here on France 24, and thank you for watching the show.